Ready. Play.
Just talk about the Miami draw then. Once more, we have the number one not banned player in the world, Alexander Zverev. And this time seems
He's
like
living the feeling.
Yeah, this time it seems like he will not have a deadly opponent. I read it, by the way. I like with Muesli. So you said Muesli, and I read it Musetti. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Musetti yogurt and fruit? Sure. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that Zverev this time might not have as deadly of a round 2 opponent as Griekspoor because he has Bonzi against the qualifier. However, I think what is very similar to his draw earlier was, in Indian Wells, is that Pechi Pericard is supposed to be the third round opponent, and I've kind of been pretty hungry for this matchup, and it hasn't happened. So maybe finally. And also, some potential dangers later, like Fils or Griekspoor. I don't know. Like, how do we feel about Zverev here? In terms of, well, his form being just completely awful, and I just don't feel like we can really say that he's at the very top of the sport right now. Like, he's definitely just like we forgot about him, and it's part of that weird tennis landscape on the ATP tour right now that we just mentioned.
Yeah. He's in a bad moment, that's for sure. As a draw, I don't think he can really complain because, Pesci round 3, if not him, it could have been another one. Round 4, at some point you have to have some dangerous player in your draw. So I don't think he can truly complain about it. I'm not even looking to quarterfinals because considering his form, if he reaches quarterfinal, it's already, a step forward. Well, he desperately needs wins, so probably a round 2 opponent can be better than the one he got in Indian Wells, maybe Miami. If it's a little bit faster, can help him having a little more confidence in his forehand, a little bit more, maybe serve, working better. And so he can, try getting a bit of confidence from this. He was a semi-finalist last year, so we'll see. We need an answer for sure from him because after the Australian Open final, he basically didn't do anything good, let's say, on the tour. So now it's been a while. We are at the end of March, and if he wants to, I'm not even talking about number 1 because right now it's so far. But just take I don't want to say. Keep his place inside the top 2, 3 in the ranking. He, of course, needs wins and he needs to start playing better. I think when clay will come, the European clay will give him back some positive feelings. But, gaining some confidence a little bit earlier and doing so already in Miami can be huge because, as we've seen with Draper and other players, the landscape, there are players ready to take their chances and players who are knocking at the door. So.
There's also that quarter, which is pretty interesting. I mean, quarter, I guess it's not a quarter. Yeah, it is a quarter, sorry. When we actually have both Rune and Draper. So both the champion and the finalist from Indian Wells. Someone earlier in the chat, maybe it was Matthew, like a while back, was saying that he basically doesn't believe that they will go any far here. Looking at the draw, like Mahac or Arnaldi definitely could get to Rune. Draper, maybe like Menchik in the second round, for example, that could be difficult. Popperin in the third round as well. But yeah, Rune and Draper potentially on on collision course in the quarterfinals. That's also a pretty big piece of info from this draw, I guess.
Yeah, on paper, let's say that it should be more difficult than probably Rublev. Rublev got Fritz. This is an interesting quarterfinal, actually. There is Shelton in this one. Probably it can be a good chance for him. We'll see. The second quarter is very, very open.
It is for
That's what
sure.
it feels like.
What the hell is muesli? Is that not a popular term? It's kind of like granola, Nurlan, if you know what that is. One qualifier would most like to make an impact in Miami. I don't know. Like my answer to this maybe would be like blocks, or I don't know who else is here.
That's an interesting match.
Blocks.
An interesting section where the winner of Fonseca Tien will face Humbert in the second round.
Fonseca Tien again, huh?
Yeah.
That's insane. This is going to be a very tough question to answer, by the way, Keen. I mean, obviously, we don't know. We don't have an entire list of wildcards. You know what is coming to mind for me though? Dallas, because it always gives wildcards to the Southern Methodist University guys, and maybe something like this. Maybe an ATP event that is giving wildcards to collegians. So like Atlanta or Dallas. And of course, there's nothing wrong with like Trevor Svajda this year, but I think last year Adam Neff had a wild card for Dallas, and it was like Liam Kroll maybe 1 year too. I don't know if it was actually major or qualies, but some of that I think we have to look for somebody who is a collegian and basically an American event just gives them a wild card. I think these guys are definitely among the conversation.
I am mad because I haven't. There's not Colton Smith in this draw.
Yes, Colton actually is not in the qualies either. So yeah, Colton just didn't get a wild card for either competition. I have no idea why. Maybe it's also some college commitments, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
tough to say. But yeah, this section you mentioned with Fonseca Tien play Humbert. Humbert defeated Fonseca at Davis Cup. But yeah, Fonseca Tien facing each other again after the US Open 23 final, and also of course an Next Gen twice. Looks pretty open the second quarter overall, I guess. We mentioned that Fritz is kind of lost at the moment, but he's still very solid. Takes a great performance to beat him. Shelton Hurkacz, that looks like a very potential third round clash that should probably happen, and that obviously is going to be a serve fest. Seems very even, but a lot of this
conditions should be better for him here in Miami.
Hurkacz, yeah, for sure.
No, and De Minaur as well. I was saying.
De Minaur, yeah, both of them, yeah, sure. They actually played right in Indian Wells, and it was very easy for Alex. But yeah, I agree that the conditions will be good for both of them here. And generally, like this second quarter, I think is a very good representation of what the ATP Tour is right now, in the sense that seeds like 29 Beretti, 27 Shapovalov, 21 Hurkacz, they're pretty much just as good as the seeds that are ranked 3, 6.
Yeah, overall,
yeah, 3, 8, 10. So yeah, that's kind of what we have here. I'm sure there have been some awful wildcards at the South American events. Not convinced. Usually there's like
because they have many players falling right short in the entry list. So
exactly, I feel like it's usually guys from Argentina who are ranked like, I don't know, 100 to 200 basically. From Brazil, it's always the same guys really. So maybe like back in the day, if Brazil didn't have, I don't know how many players, like let's say top 200 Brazil had in 2000 something, but actually no, maybe they didn't even have they had.
Is Fonseca in Buenos Aires in this conversation?
Yeah, for sure. Horrible wildcard, definitely, because he ruined the tournament for
Argentina.
So I think Argentinians hate him right now. Anyway, let's look at the bottom half as well. We've got Daniil Medvedev, who is like a big threat to Daniil Medvedev here. Let's say, and there's also Djokovic in this one. So I guess let's look at just the quarter of Medvedev. Is it going to be a
Djokovic Medvedev?
Oh, again. Oh, wow. No, sorry, not again. Djokovic Medvedev. That's great. I mean, we'll see how Hamad is after the split, right?
Yeah, it will be, but it will be a great storyline.
If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, Djokovic is basically like funding Hamad's career more or less.
There's who other? We see
threats to Medvedev. Let's talk about threats to Medvedev. Who do you think is dangerous to Daniil here and in his quest to return to form?
I mean, Monfils is playing pretty well. I don't know if it can be dangerous for Daniil, but I mean, if it happens around 4 between Medvedev and Tsitsipas, I know that Medvedev has a good matchup in Tsitsipas, but who knows if Tsitsipas is feeling very confident right now. He can truly trouble him. Leshka beat Daniil a couple times already. I mean, once especially, because the other time, the conditions for Daniil were not good physically. He retired. I mean, there are, of course, dangers in this draw because, but these are looking, he should win his round 2 match. And between round 3 and round 4, I think it can be dangerous if he doesn't play at least at the level he did at Indian Wells. That's for sure.
This is a wild prediction from Tien, considering how Coleman Wong has been playing for about a year now. But yeah, what's your trust level in Djokovic then? Medvedev round 2. I mean, if Hamad is fit, I think.
Please.
Yeah, like if Hamad is fit, I would like his chances against Novak right now. I think.
Look, it's very difficult to draw a prediction about Djokovic because we know how good he still can be, but at the same time, we know that he cannot look that good consistently. Motivation plays a big factor, and I don't know. That's why I really cannot give you an answer about Novak. It's that time for him. Well, where if he loses to Medvedev, for example, I wouldn't be shocked. But if he reaches quarterfinal or semifinal, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say, because then at the end I know that he can still play well in some. When he wants and can also physically. So it will depend on many factors. But yeah, if Medvedev, for example, is fine physically and is really motivated, it can be a threat for sure. Even because I don't see Medvedev as one of these players who suffer from the you are Novak Djokovic, and so I don't play my best, not because I don't want to, but because I feel a little bit terrorized. And Alcaraz has a good draw.
With Novak, it can be a bit different, though, right? I mean, Novak has special meaning to.
That's true.
For Hamad, I mean, Novak could mean something different. I don't think that's true, Sean. That I mean, he's had years when he played like 10, 11 events, and he was perfectly fine, and he was winning most of them. So probably not.
For me, it's it's just that probably we struggle to admit that he is not as good as he used to be.
Old. He's old. Yeah. No, I mean the one thing that is saving Novak right now is that in terms of like how we view him is the Australian Open. When it really effing mattered to him, he beat Alcaraz, and like that's all I can say. Like even if he keeps losing the first match until the end of the year, he will still have that, and we will be thinking like, okay, so when he's really motivated, maybe he can still get things done. And
that's why I always say, he's not as good as he used to be, but we cannot underestimate him, and that's why I'm kind of the situation where I cannot really predict what he's going to do, especially in a tournament like this one. Maybe Grand Slam, I would already be a little bit more looking forward for him. Right now, I'm not sure.
That draw for Alcaraz, indeed. I mean, the first 3 rounds looked so good for him.
Look, even I'd be surprised if it doesn't reach. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like penciling him into the semis looking at this, I think.
Yeah.
That's not the same for Casper Ruud, who can play either Kecmanovic or Kovacevic. Kovacevic having just won Kapkana, of course. There's the Phoenix runner-up Bublik in this one as well, who can play Paul in the second round. That would be so exciting. So I guess, Alcaraz just looks like a very strong favorite in this fourth one. Federico Cina with a wild card too. Mario, how happy are you to see Federico Cina in an ATP 1000 draw?
Well, I'm very happy actually, and I'm really interesting to know his opponent since he will face a qualifier, and we'll see how he does. I don't know if he's already ready for this, but we'll see. He still is doing quite well so far, so it will be a nice experience for him. We'll see who will face and what happens.
Clay season pre-RG is when Matthew will judge Novak. I guess you're still operating under your assumption that RG could actually be a surprisingly decent chance for Novak to win a slam. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, I get what you're saying. Although personally, I am in the other camp. What is your expectations of Zverev in this event? One last question from Ozan. Win a couple of matches because there's no Griekspoor in the second round, but like fourth round quarters, I wouldn't be surprised if he loses to somebody. I don't even have a particular name in mind, just someone who's playing very strong. One of these players we keep mentioning in the sense that, between like 5 and 25 right now on the ATP Tour, even 5 and 30, everybody is good, but nobody is.
Round 4 as kind of the minimum goal.
I like how Nick Carter has infiltrated talking tennis in the like minimum expectation and all that lingo that he basically introduced with his fantastic article. Anyway, is that it? Do we have any more thoughts on this?
I don't know. These draws are so big that I always struggle to really, I kind of need to at least to eliminate both of the guys after round 1 to start really looking at the full draw. But whatever, there are many sections that are very, very interesting, especially that one between Deminor and Humbert. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll see. I'm kind of happy before this tournament. Let's see if I will be as well after the tournament.
Let's talk Miami then, shall we? So, goodbye, Andy Wells. Hello, Miami, as we go into part 2 of the Sunshine Double. And I'm trying to mix things up a little bit. Normally, when I go through these kind of draw predictions, we're kind of like going through who we think could go through. But because the WTA, there's quite a few names in the mix. We see quite a lot of surprises fairly often. I thought I'd try and change maybe how we do this a little bit. Still go through quarter by quarter. But what I would like to do, Brenner, is for each quarter, let's highlight the names that we think will probably go through, but also highlight at least 3 names that you think could provide an upset for that person that we think could go through. So, I'll start. For example, quarter number 1 is Sabalenka's quarter. She is the favorite, despite never making it past the quarterfinals before at Miami. But she does have quite a few big threats in her section. And let's see if we can identify those. I think there's one very obvious one in her section. And I don't know if you've seen the draw yet, Brenner, but I think it's pretty obvious who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as we speak. I think that, I mean, whoever comes out, I mean, yes, I think it's going to be, hard even in that round of 32 battle. But yeah, we do have, Rybakina, who she would eventually face in that quarterfinal. That's correct. Yep. Yeah, it's quite a heavy quarter there. I mean, with Vekic and Danielle Collins, as we brought up, that's some big hitting.
Yeah. Oh, I looked at this and went, ooh, that's a little tough. Like, Rybakina is the one I'm most worried about for Arena. I think in the past, Rybakina would almost be the joint favorite to get out. And I'm going to say this now. This might be controversial. I think if that quarterfinal did happen, I'd actually back Rybakina in that maybe, because Rybakina seems to quite like playing Arena. Always seems to win a set against her at least. And even when Rybakina was coming back in the WTA finals and kind of fighting her feet, she managed to get a win over Arena. And I think that is something. I think she's a big threat to Arena. The other big threat to Arena, as you've highlighted, that last of 32 battle, actually would it be last last 16 actually.
Right. Okay.
It's either going to be Danielle Collins, who's the defending champion and stuff to prove, but Donna Vekic, who has a very lopsided, weird head-to-head with Sabalenka, 6-2. Like, Sabalenka's only beaten Vekic when she is on her game and running her way to a Grand Slam title. That's the only 2 times she's beaten Vekic. Then the rest of the time, Vekic seems to find a way of bothering Arena. And if that's a 4th round battle, get the popcorn out, because Vekic could be there to spring an upset.
Great, and I'm with you. And given that that level she was able to produce at Indian Wells versus Keith, and arguably could have taken that match, it seems like she should be full of confidence, and especially like we said, I think that's going to be an interesting battle. It does line up between Beckett and Collins, 2 kind of similar game styles. So that'll definitely be a highlighted match if we get there.
Yeah. So I guess for me, if I was going to say like the favorites for this quarter would be Sabalenka and Rybakina. My top 3 outsiders to make the semi-final would be Donna Vekic would be the number 1, because she can beat Arena. And I think if she beats Arena, I'd feel comfortable with the idea of her beating Rybakina as well, if Rybakina got that far. Danielle Collins is in that mix as well. I think if Danielle catches fire in Miami, maybe she loves playing there. You never know. I know she's not really necessarily shown it, but you can't rule her out as the defending champion. And I know I kind of was a little bit down about her early in the show, but Zhang Qinwen, I think she does seem to, that quarterfinal run in Indian Wells is noteworthy. I think maybe she's getting something going again. And if she is and she's got some momentum, let's see what she does in this draw as well. But she would be my 3rd kind of outsider to kind of make the semi-finals.
Right, and I think about her game too. It should fare well on this type of surface. She likes to play super tight to the baseline, and I talk about effortless power. It's just, I think that's another thing that she possesses, despite maybe her stature, and you wouldn't expect it, but she really despite providing pace, she can absorb and deflect pace really, really well, given that she stands so tight to that baseline. I feel like it's been a while since I've talked about her, but Leylah Fernandez, do you have any thoughts on her, Nick? She's one of those players that should beat the players that she should beat, but then it's been a while. I don't really know off the top of my head her last really successful tournament, but she's one of those players that always offers so much variety, and you kind of never know what you're going to get, but has that fighter mentality and ability to on her day, you don't know how difficult a matchup that could be. So I'll just throw that out there.
Good for throwing it out. I mean, I looked at this draw and I was like, do I want to be a Fernandez believer? Yeah. I love Leylah Fernandez. She is one of my favorite players to watch. Like, very few challenges to that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, when was her last title? Because she's had a lot of good moments, a few deep runs now and again at events. I think she's got a couple of quarterfinals in 1000s from last season. Obviously, she's doing well in the doubles as well. But yeah, her last WTA Tour title was 2023 in Hong Kong. Other than that, Eastbourne final last year as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Fernandez. I'd love to see her do it, but I think she's going to have to try and really dig deep and find that fighter mentality that got her to that US Open final. Okay. And it's in there somewhere. I guess it depends on whether she can not be overwhelmed, but when she's on, she's so much fun to watch, and I would love to see her do well.
Perfect.
All right. So quarter number 2. And I'm going to say this now. If you're a Coco Gauff fan, you're probably enjoying this quarter, because like there are dangerous players in there, don't get me wrong, but if Coco Gauff is on, you'd feel relatively comfortable about the idea of her making the semi-finals, right?
Yeah, on paper, it should be hers. I actually think it might be a little bit of an oddball matchup in terms of her second round opponent. She's gonna get Kvitova, who obviously coming
Mhm.
back, and then you got Sophia Kenin, who has that ability to kind of redline and take you off her game. So, um, but yeah, I mean, on paper it should be hers. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of the bottom half
Mm.
on Jabeur coming back. See where her health is at. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't count out. I'll say one more name in terms of just a little spiel in terms of Alexandrova.
Oh,
Just
yes.
has a really good game for this type of surface, low bouncing. Um, what match am I thinking of? Did she do well in the Middle East?
She
I don't
did.
know.
She beat
Yeah,
Sabalenka. She got to the semis.
you're right. You're right. That's what it was. Yes.
Lost under Samova
Um,
in
yes.
Doha.
Yes. Yes, and I think she's actually very comparable with Samsonova as well, similar game style. So look, there are players who can get hot, and I think the bottom half of this quarter might be a little bit easier to deal with, but I mean, yeah, like I said, we'll say on paper it should be Coco's, and
Mm.
we'll go from there.
Yeah, Alexandrova, I skimmed over her, but you are absolutely right to highlight her, especially given she actually did well in Miami last year as well. She's defending semi-final points and she beat Iga Swiatek. Like, yeah, she's definitely a dangerous player, and I can't believe I kind of skimmed over that. But yeah, she should definitely go on the top 3 outsiders list for sure. Jasmine Paolini, don't rule her out. I know she's kind of got a bit of a last 16 wall at the minute, but I quite like her draw potentially. I know Ons is in there, and it's going to be health dependent, but she's not necessarily her best on a hard court. Like that one, that match is going to be a lot of fun either way, because
Right.
it's going to be very dynamic. It's going to be a lot of running around. But I could see Paolini making the quarters. Naomi Osaka's in this section as well. Like, don't count Osaka out at all. If she's healthy and she's recovered from whatever his injury was from Australia, yeah, I'm interested to see what she could do as well. She's definitely a dangerous player and one to watch.
100%. Yeah, I apologize. She slipped my eye as she's waiting a qualifier. So yeah, I mean, talk about a great opportunity to get her match reps and hopefully a good win, and obviously take on a tough opponent in Samsonova, who is playing well.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few people playing like Kasakina's in there, a few others, but like in terms of like people, I'm like, they've made some waves this year, or even a little bit. Like, yeah, I think I think we've identified Goff's 3 main challenges probably being Paolini, Osaka, and Alexandrova, probably for that section. All right, Q3, third quarter, and I'm going to shock. It's probably not a shock to anyone who is a long-standing tennis fan, but the person who was the highest seed in this quarter is probably not the favorite to make the semifinals.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Do you have the same name in mind as me as who the favorite to make the semifinals is?
I believe we do. That is.
We haven't actually discussed it ahead of time, so he actually has no idea what is in my head.
Right. I'll go with the recency bias of Mira Andreeva.
Spot on. That's my favorite to make it to the semifinals from this quarter as well. She has to be, right? The way she's playing, the momentum behind this win streak. Like, we'll have to see how much fatigue plays, but she's got a few days off to travel to Miami and get acclimatized. She's going to benefit from the bye. Yeah, I think Miami could be a really, really another big opportunity for her, at least to get to another semi-final. And having said that, though, there are some very dangerous players in her section. I've spotted 6 players who could well stop that minimum, not least Jessica Pegula, who is the actual 4th seed, if she plays well. But yeah, there's definitely a few other names in the mix there that you're like, yeah. Anna Samova, we mentioned her earlier.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page, Nick. This is it's pretty loaded in terms of, I'd say, form and ability. I'd start even at the top. I mean, I feel like we kind of gloss over Navarro right now. She's kind of, you know, gritted out some wins this year, and it hasn't been the best, but we know, especially being on U.S. soil, she's going to get some good support. But I'd go with Lena Noskova. I think she was playing
Yeah.
so well in the Middle East, I believe, and
Yeah.
she has that game where she's another one of those players who can dictate, and it feels quite effortless in a sense. That power is there. She can hit big, and she backs herself well. And obviously we mentioned, Amisanova, like it's gonna be a tough test. I think that's one that tennis fans are looking forward to. And I'll give a quick shout out to Lulu Sun, who I'm actually a big fan of. She's a lefty and has big weapons. So I think this is a court that should suit her well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of conditions, like we have a lot of big hitters here who do well and don't count out. Maybe I'll let you talk about her, but Diana Schneider.
Schneider was on my list, yeah. Obviously, I think she's been a bit kind of patchy this year so far. It'd be interesting to see what happens when she catches fire. A lot of these, under 20, rising under 22 stars are all together almost with Andreeva, Noskova, Schneider. They're all together. I'm interested to see if Schneider can catch fire. Same with Kostyuk as well. Kostyuk's in there, but another sort of streaky player. But yeah, I like your kind of identifying of Sun, although she's also very, very patchy right now in terms of results. But yeah, I'd agree with you that maybe Andreeva, although being the favourite on paper, she does have maybe some of the tougher challenges. She's got potentially Anisimova around 3, and then either Navarro or Noskova. Well, that's going to be a heck of a fight, that third round, if that happens, in round 4. So she's got a bit of a battle to get to the quarters, but and again, we'll see how much she has in the tank for that. But I'm interested to see sort of this quarter feels pretty open. Yeah, and a lot of it is on paper, but obviously Andreeva is well beating right now. So it's very interesting when you talk about on paper and then seeing all these names in the mix. And I agree with you, the big hitting in there. It's going to be fun to watch. Having said that, if we thought that quarter was stacked, the fourth quarter, oh my word. And I genuinely cannot call a singular favourite from this fourth quarter. I think both of our favourite players are in this quarter. Iga Swiatek and Madison Keys, they're pretty much joint favourites to make the semis. And conditions-wise, you might even give the edge to Keys, right?
Yeah, I totally would. And I feel like, the player that's still popping out is Elena Svitolina, and just her ability to continue to produce a high level, no matter where she is, kind of in the world, carrying, Ukraine on her back and being, that powerful, force in the women's game. But she's, been been unbelievable. Just her ability to continue to have consistency and reproduce that level. Another name that, like we saw last week with Elise Mertens, she has that, ability to do well, especially that backhand. I don't want to go too quick through all these names because there's so many good names in here, but I will give a shout out to Peyton Starnes, Katie Bolter. That should be a really good first round match.
Oh yeah.
That should be pretty wicked. I am big on
going
Stearns.
3.
Yeah, exactly. But she's got a huge, powerful game. That forehand super big. And then we'll see ideally another rematch between Swiatek and Garcia. But I mean, everywhere we look, you can talk about maybe the top half of this quarter because wow.
I mean, let's face it. Okay, nobody would be surprised if any of the following players made it. Swiatek, Keys, we've said, but Svitolina, good spot there. She's definitely looking quite good at the moment. Clara Towson's in here as well.
I know, exactly.
She's in there. Belinda Bencic, one of the form players of the season so far. Karolina Muchova, who's still trying to get herself back in that top 10 and is racking up results. Jelena Ostapenko is lurking to cause chaos. Literally, this feels like a genuinely competitive quarter. Not as in it's anyone's because they're a similar level, but like all of these players could catch fire or have caught fire at some point this season. And this is where I think the second half, this half of the draw is crazy right now. And that's why it's really, really hard to call like who's making it through to the semi-finals, because usually I get people to pick like who their semi-finals are, who their semi-finalists are going to be. I guess, do we want to be brave, Brenner?
Let's do it. I would say this. I would love to see a Towson Ostapenko match. Just be huge hitting. That would be fun. That's not my prediction. I'm just saying that as
that'd be funny though. Yeah,
it would be funny. All right. Would you like to go first, Nick?
Okay, I think. Do you know what? I'm going to go with my gut for once, and I'm just going to go all ham here. My prediction from the first quarter semi-finalist is going to be Elena Rybakina.
Love it.
Quarter number 2, I'm going to go with Jasmine Paolini. Quarter number 3, I'm going to go with Emma Navarro. And quarter number 4, I'm going to go with Madison Keys.
Love it. I think that was good variety. From you.
Yeah.
All right. I am going to go with Donna Vekic.
Okay.
Up top. Yeah, a little bit bolder, but I need one of those. Quarter number 2, I'm going to go Coco Gauff. For time to shine in Miami. We'd love to see it. Quarter number 3, I'm tangling with it, but it's just so hard to in this case, pick against her, bet against her. Mira Andreeva.
Yeah, literally in the wheel in quarter number 3, right?
Yeah, it's insane. And then to finalize my semifinal on the bottom, I'm going to go with a little Iga Swiatek. In her case, little redemption here.
Okay.
Yep. To find herself back
I'm glad
in the semifinal.
I'm glad someone believes in her, given I am supposed to be a fan. And I've gone with a bit of fan pessimism here. All right. So let's talk about this fan. So Vekic Gauff, who wins that match? That semi-final, do you think?
Gauff.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Mira Swiatek, third meeting in 2025. Who wins that one?
I'm going with Iga.
Going with Iga. So your final is Coco Gauff versus Iga Swiatek in Miami.
Just like it was in Cincinnati, I think. Yes. Right?
No,
that
was the semi-final a couple of years back. The semi-final was Sabalenka Pegula last year. I think
yes.
She won it. United Cup is the final.
Well, there is one match I'm thinking of, but anyway, yes.
United Cup final.
Probably, but I think might have been 2 years ago. 2 years back. 2 years back. Yeah.
So
Coco's
who wins?
First one.
Are you going for Coco to win Miami? Or are you going for Iga redemption?
Iga
redemption.
Semi and Cincy. Okay. Yes. Thank you. It was their first win over. It was their first win. Yep. Broke the.
I like it.
It's really brutal. Yeah.
I like it. Yep. I wish I'd gone for it. I wish I was not fighting my own biases here. But I'm going to try. All right, mine. I've gone for a Rybakina Paolini semi-final at the top half, and I'm going with Rybakina to win it.
Love it. Love it.
And then Navarro. I mean, I don't know why I'm going for Navarro, but I just going pick a name. I just don't know whether Andreeva's going to run out of gas with that tougher draw early on.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Navarro on an American hardcourt. Can't necessarily rule her out there against Maddie Keys. I mean, part of me did want to go for someone else like Towson. Towson would be fun as well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Navarro against Keys, or I've already said Keys. I'm going to have to stick with it. I'm going to go with Keys to win that match. Rybakina Keys final in Miami. Third final in a row for Rybakina at Miami. And I think she's going to get her redemption, and she's going to be lifting that trophy.
I love it. I love it. I think it's a great opportunity for her to get back on the center stage.
Yeah. Although, let's face it, if your prediction works out, I'm not going to complain.
Sounds good to me. I'm with
There we
you.
go. Right. That's
Awesome.
it, guys. I'm fully aware that I've literally just thrown a dartboard out there, but I'm going with my gut on how I think this draw is going to go out. We'll see. My gut's usually wrong, but this is why this is fun.
Okay.
And this is why this Miami tournament is going to be fun, because I think we've just gone through it and gone, there's a lot of potential winners here, Brenner.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much opportunity. Obviously, they get the little extra time to make the trip from Indian Wells to Miami and refocus and get used to the courts and conditions. And as you said, we got one last hard court 1,000 here, and everyone can go all in and focus big. So yeah, as you said, so many names, so many opportunities. But I mean, I think we're in the same boat. It's going to be an awesome, exciting tournament.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you are. I'm looking forward to watching some of those matches with you, Brenner. And I'm looking forward to watching matches with all of you lot as well. Thanks everyone for watching, whether you've been watching live or you've watched or listened back to us. Thanks to anyone who listens on the podcast as well. Really appreciate it. Any kind of views. If you haven't subscribed to any of our feeds yet, especially on YouTube, please do. We've got lots of great content coming away from Miami. You've seen throughout the show or heard about us talking about our little prediction shows that we do throughout the tournament. We do live streams of watch-alongs for matches. This is a great place to be for following tennis. And I think you should definitely come and join the family. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.